Hi, I'm back. I'm Chris Black, and you're listening to the Cry Harder podcast. This is episode number 17. I'm recording on Friday, May 8th, and we have a really big show for you today. It's jam packed, so let's get into it. So, in today's episode, we're going to talk about stories of the week, then we're going to do a quick rant of the week, which will include an extended version of Tier Factor, which we've brought back this week, where I read other people's rants and then I rate them, give my analysis. We'll do a quick week in review, a quick looking forward. I have a tip of the week, and then I have 2 movie reviews. So without further ado, let's get into it. And actually, before I get into it, real quick, I just wanted to point out I made a huge cup of coffee. I'm recording this in the afternoon. It's almost to the top. It's huge. And I have my dad mug, so I'm ready to go. I've had a lot of coffee today. I feel like I've been shot out of a cannon, ready to go. And for those watching on video, I also have a fern or some kind of plant in the back. I feel like in every YouTube video I've ever seen, people have ferns. There was that movie with Zach Galifianakis, 2 Ferns. So I have a fern. So I don't know if I'll get more views because of that. We'll see. Anyway, all right, let's jump into stories of the week. Now this is a late ad, but what I did just kind of briefly this week wanted to talk about. Today there was a release of UFO files, which I probably haven't really talked about it, but I have kind of gone down that rabbit hole in the last few years, just to some extent. I would say primarily beginning in, well, I'll give you the backstory. So for the longest time, I thought, oh, there's probably some kind of life out there. You know, somewhere there's a lot of planets, as we kind of learned, there's more like star systems and planets. But I would say in 2017, there was an article in the New York Times where it talked about how our government was looking into UFOs and things like that, and there was like budget set up, and like Harry Reid had set up this whole thing, who was the Democratic, I think the majority leader, Democrat, whatever. So then I was like, oh wow, is this real? So I started paying more attention to it, and I'm very big into what's the meaning of life. So I kind of come at it from that perspective of, like, why are we here? What are we from? And I mean, obviously God, and I'm agnostic, is what I would say, but I'm open to that possibility or any other possibility. So I find this topic fascinating for that. I'm coming at it from that lens or from that perspective. So today they released, I think the first time ever, UFO related documents. So I have an article here from NBC News that was published this morning. So it said the Pentagon on Friday began releasing never-before-seen files related to unidentified anomalous phenomenon, previously and more infamously known as unidentified flying objects, UFOs, so the government has been holding on to for decades. The files have been a source of intrigue and fascination for generations of skeptical Americans wondering if we're alone in the universe. The release came nearly a month after President Donald Trump gave a sneak preview of possible contents, telling a conservative gathering that some very interesting documents would be released by the Department of Defense very, very soon. So the article goes on. Let's see. I'll continue reading. The first batch of long-awaited files on UAPs are being housed in the dedicated government site, www.war.gov/UFO/. The additional files will be added to the site on a rolling basis, Pentagon Public Affairs said in a press release. The American people can now access the federal government's declassified UAP files instantly, the press release said. So I don't need to fully go into it, but so I was reading on X today. I had to work today, so I didn't get a lot of time to do it, but I was reading on X, and it seems like there's no like smoking gun of like, oh, here's like a gray alien or something like that. So that's, and, who knows, but apparently there were some very interesting stories or documentation of like the astronauts. I think it was Apollo 11, Apollo 17, where they saw like very interesting lights and things like following them, and it was very, very interesting. So I'm sure as the week goes on, I'll kind of look into it more, and I'll probably in next week's episode, I'll talk about it more, and we'll get more into it. So I'll learn more about it. What I would say is, as I said, I'm interested in it, and my position on it is, I think there likely is something going on. I think that's pretty clear. At least something's going on. Now, what it is it an alien? Is it, you hear people say interdimensional? Is it something else? I have no idea, and I'm going to hold out, till we get more facts and things like that. Do I think it's all that? Do I think some of it is like advanced U.S. tech? Yes, I do. Do I think some of it's China or Russia or our adversaries? Yes, I do. I think drones have come a long way. So I think there's a lot going on. You hear a lot of fantastical stories, and I'm really interested in it. But again, there's a lot of like people who lie, who've been proven to lie, in this area or this realm. So just looking forward to see what was released, and I'll get back to you next week. And then it sounds like from what I heard, over the next 60 to 90 days, there's going to be more batches, or it's going to be like a drip. So let's see what comes of it. Okay, so that was story 1. So story 2, I considered doing this for my rant of the week, and I very well may, but I'm not going to do it yet. So this one is related to I saw a story that in Coronado, which is like an island off the coast of San Diego, it's like a very wealthy, like affluent, it's like an island, like if San Diego, like Bay, if it looks like a C, like an upside down C, or like an upside down U, whatever it would be, a claw, it's that island that's in the middle. There's like a naval station on one part of it where they filmed Top Gun Maverick 2, and then on the other part of it, there's like a bunch of multi-million-dollar houses. There's a Hotel del Coronado, a lot of stuff like that. So very nice area. I like going there quite a bit. So anyway, they closed their beaches down, or at least the water, so you weren't allowed to get into the water. Why is that? Because apparently I knew this, and so I've lived here over 10 years, and this has been going on over 10 years, and essentially there is like the runoff. So there's it's the Tijuana River. So in Mexico, Tijuana is literally right across the border. For those of you who aren't familiar, so like where I live, it's like 30 miles from my house, but it's literally right across the border from San Diego. So what happens is they have a river there, I suppose, and they have, it's like very polluted. Like, I think they're like, their bath, I don't know, their sewer, I think all that stuff, it kind of goes into that river, and then that river gets out into the Pacific Ocean. And with the currents and different things, the sewage will just go into the ocean, and then some of it will come north to America. So it's like there's bacteria in the water, so like you can't go swimming when it's high levels of bacteria. And I know like right across the border, there's National City, and the name escapes me, but there's another town like right there that I actually considered moving to without knowing how bad this issue is. But then as you go kind of further up, there's like Coronado and things like that. So what happens is for whatever reason, the current changes, whatever, they have to close down this Coronado Beach, and it's a beautiful beach. So there's an article that came out on May 6th from the New York Post, or the California Post, I guess it's like their version. But anyway, the headline reads, "Paradise Lost. Dreaded Poo-nami from Mexico risks shutting down one of America's best beaches." Here's the article. They are up SHIT Creek without a plunger. Just when you thought it was safe to get back into the water, a picturesque California beach is at risk of being shuttered amid a deluge of sewage from Mexico that's befouled the coastline. It was heaven on earth. Now we call it paradise lost. Whitney David, 63, a retired surgeon and surfer, told Wall Street Journal of the odorous scourge. Located off the coast of San Diego Bay, an upscale resort city of Coronado has long been a mecca for bathers. However, recently the region has been polluted by the gallons of wastewater, as many as 38 million per day, from the neighbor to the south, which has increasingly rendered its idyllic seaside hub off limits. New Jersey resident Kristen Cohen attempted to take her 3-year-old daughter, Chloe, only to be stopped in her tracks by a sign that read, "Water contact may cause illness." "I guess we can't do that, babe," she lamented. And now it's not just sunbathers who are affected by the Poo-nami. Larry Delrose, entertainment director at the Coronado Shores condo community, claims that he's forced to close his windows several times a week to keep out the sewer-like aromas. In 2025, beaches in front of the historic Hotel del Coronado that I just mentioned, whose rooms cost upward of $1,000, it says per minute, which I don't get that, although that doesn't make sense, but they're very expensive rooms, were shuttered for 128 days due to the local fecal flood. Many of these were during peak of summer, like a version of the movie Jaws. The source of this excremental tidal wave is the Tijuana River, which is filled with wastewater that empties into the Pacific Ocean. This crap cocktail ends up tainting the waters off of San Diego. While Tijuana Sewage has affected the U.S. for years, the pollution, they're using a lot of puns here, has surged amid the population boom in Tijuana, whose numbers have more than doubled over the past 30 years to 2.3 million residents, putting a strain on its waste management system. This problem is not only smelly, it's also dangerous. We're breathing in toxic gases, and we can't wait any longer. Aguilar, some person said in this Instagram post, "Please declare a state of emergency for Tijuana River crisis." The official added, "Our children are waking up with headaches, our seniors are struggling to breathe, and our families are prisoners to their homes." In 2022, Gavin Newsom, the governor, vetoed a bill that would have designated $50 million towards efforts to help clean up the Tijuana River. Meanwhile, the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, insisted President Trump has made it a priority. Okay. The U.S. is currently working with Mexico to upgrade and expand their wastewater infrastructure, along with expanding a facility on this side of the border that erected years ago as a failsafe, moving at Trump speed. The Trump administration negotiated and signed 2 historic new agreements with Mexico, the Memorandum of Understanding in July 2025 and the Minute 333 in December of 2025, committed both sides to speed up project timelines and take additional actions to prevent this crisis from reoccurring down the road, the EPA told the Post in a statement. In addition, we completed a 100-day expansion of the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant, which prevents an additional 10 million of gallons a day of raw sewage from reaching U.S. waters. Okay, so that's the article. So I read the whole thing. So I wanted to do a rant about it because it's pretty annoying. So this thing has been going on, as I said, for me, it's been going on since I've lived here for 10 years, and for other people who've lived here much longer than me or from here, it's been going on for 30 years or maybe more than that. I don't know. But, and actually, well, let me look up I want to look up a map. And so I know that town that is just totally, that gets hit with this pretty hard. Imperial Beach, so they call it IB here. So that's literally right across the border. And my wife and I we considered looking at a house in IB, and knowing what I know now, I never would, because it's just like this sewage problem. Now I was going to go on a major rant. Like I said, just because, why is it going on this long? Who's doing anything about it? Do we need to get, some kind of investigative journalist on this, or, something? Is somebody gonna do something? Is a politician gonna do something? Now, I don't want to make this political because, as far as I can tell, no president or nothing until now apparently is doing anything about it. That said, stuff's being done about it, but literally last week it was shut. The beach was shut down. So, to me, they're not working quick enough, and they need to do more. So I'm going to monitor this story, and I will get back to you. That said, I think it's a story that anybody watching this should be aware is a problem. It's like a huge, and I'm not even like the biggest, like, oh, I'm like an environmentalist or like whatever. I mean, I am. I want to protect the environment, but it's not like my thing. But this thing just infuriates me. Like, why is this still an issue? It shouldn't be. Why? Like, even if the United States has to give Mexico the money to fix the problem, then we need to do that. I don't know. Maybe we tax them. Maybe we find a different way to recoup the money. I have no idea. Or maybe like a tariff or, whatever. But this shouldn't be an issue. People in San Diego shouldn't have to put up with this, and there should be attention on this. So I just needed to get that out, and I will be monitoring the situation, and I will be following up as the story develops. And again, it's been going on forever, but this it's been a thing. Okay. A little sip of my coffee. I need to calm down, but I can't because it's the rant time. So here we are at Rant of the Week. I do have a programming note. I was trying to effort Mike from Philly, who was on episode 10, and we were going to do kind of a rant, episode or a rant, just like a rant special, I guess you would call it. So we were going to do that. The problem is we both have kids, we both have very busy lives, and we couldn't coordinate it. So we're going to try to get that done for you next week. But in the meantime, and so I have some pretty good rants that I'm going to save for then. I know he has a ton of really good rants. He really brought it in episode 10, and I believe he'll do it again in episode 18. This is 17. Okay, so here's my rant of the week. I am going to make it kind of quick because I have a lot of other stuff I want to get to. But I want to do it, but it's another bathroom rant, and it kind of is fitting that we just are talking about it after talking about the sewage crisis coming up from Tijuana. But here's my rant. Now, I was in the bathroom. Now, I happen to be at a bathroom and work, but this could happen anywhere, in any bathroom. And so it's not like a work situation. Now, the second part kind of is, but it's not really a work thing. It's just a bathroom thing. You could be in any bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, right? And as a man, now as a woman, you have your stall, so this presumably is not an issue. So this is a man issue. So I go to a stall, right? Or not a stall. I go to a urinal. There's 2 urinals in this bathroom. So I go to a urinal. I am going number 1, going pee, whatever. A gentleman comes up next to me, goes to the other urinal. Okay, there's a little barrier. It's not a big one. So there's a little one, like in between, just like a piece of plastic or something, which is whatever. So the gentleman next to me starts going to the bathroom. Now, couldn't have been more than 5 seconds. The guy passes gas. Okay, I don't want to use I don't want to use the other term. He passes gas really loud and really long, and he's about maybe 12 inches from me. He's literally right next to me. So, if you're at a urinal next to somebody, why do you think it's okay that you pass gas right next to him? That's disgusting. If you think that you have to pass gas, like you go up, whatever, hey, that's fine, I get it. You can do it at a men's room, that's fine. But go do it in a stall. The stall was open, he could have just gone in there, stood up, peed, whatever, and did that. But the guy chose to stand within 12 inches of another man and pass gas. Cough in their pants, as they say, as my uncle used to say. God rest his soul. It's not right. You shouldn't do that. The other thing is, I'll even give you this. Let's say you come in, there's a little section where you're washing your hands, or that section. If you want to pass gas in there before you get to the urinal, before you're standing literally right next to somebody, okay, fine. You can do that. But or you're like walking, whatever. As long as you're literally not standing next to the person, that's not cool. You shouldn't be allowed to do it. Then, okay, so that's bad enough. So, you tell me in the comments, is it wrong to pass gas at a urinal when you're standing next to another man? Look, I get maybe sometimes there's an accident, you just let one slip, you didn't mean to, but by and large, you should try to control that, and I think it's disgusting. Okay, so that's that. The other thing is, I did mention it's a work thing. I do have to bring this up because this is a pet peeve. So the person brought their laptop in, which is fine. We're all busy. Occasionally I've done that. It's always closed. But the laptop was brought in, and there's cameras on the that's what I'm looking at on my laptop, and the laptop was facing the where you wash your hands or where you go to the bathroom, like the urinal stuff. So like, now I'm not saying somebody's watching on the thing, but it's like you shouldn't do that. Like, shut your laptop. Well, number one, probably don't bring it in. Number two, okay, there's an emergency, you have to bring it up. Shut the top of it. Don't leave it up. And thirdly, if you had to bring it in, you couldn't shut it. Face it against the wall. There was like a little thing. Face it against the wall. You don't have the camera pointing out. That's disgusting. And it's like an invasion of privacy. Like, now, nobody's probably watching, like I said, but you never know. It's like, people can hack into that stuff. Like, what are we doing? So that's it. But the primary rant is passing gas next to, like, literally next to somebody. Okay? So that's the rant of the week. Okay? Passing gas literally next to another man in a urinal. So next up, let's look at I messed up. Let's look at Tear Factor. So Tear Factor is this new segment we started last week. So essentially, I'm going to read rants off of Reddit, Reddit / or rant, whatever. It's the rant Reddit thread. So I'm going to read them, and then I'm going to rate them. I'm going to give you my opinion on how good of a rant it is, and just as a actually, before I do that, I just want to say, if you're watching, please like, comment, subscribe. Please comment. Give me your thoughts on my rant. Was it weak sauce? Was it good? And then let me know about these Tear Factor ones. You're going to hear what I think. You tell me what you think. Okay, so real quick, here's the quick scale refresher. So having a really, the best rant, it's going to be hard to get this. That is considered a 10, and that is considered base. Number 9 is very good, but just a peg under, and that's I'm almost there. And 8 is verified, so that means that's 100%. That's a good rant. Then there's 7, which is legit. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's legit. Number 6 is upper mid. 5 is mid. 4 is low mid. 3 is you're doing too much. 2 is GTFOH. That means get it out of here, without using profanity this week. Number 1 is cry harder. That means it's a terrible rant. You're really just making it up. You need to toughen up. You need to cry harder. Okay? So let's get into it. So I have 4. I'm going to check timing. I'll definitely do 2, and then we'll see if I have time. Okay, so here's a good one, which I've kind of alluded to in rants before, but I think this is a good one. So why do they always have the weirdest names? Okay, so this was posted 7 days ago in the Reddit r/rant Reddit thread, and the name of the person posting it is Creamy Love X. Okay, so I don't, who comes up with these? I don't know. The headline is Public Etiquette is Dead. Okay, so I'm going to read you the rant now, and then I'll react and read. Okay, here's the rant. Public etiquette is dead. What happened to being a person in society? Why does everyone think the world is their living room? I'm at a coffee shop and the person next to me is watching TikToks at full volume without headphones. I'm at the grocery store and there's someone leaving their cart right in the middle of the aisle to go look at cereal 3 sections away. People on speakerphone in public restrooms. They treat service workers like NPCs in a video game instead of actual human beings or humans. It's like the concept of situational awareness just evaporated. Put your headphones on, move your cart, and acknowledge that other people exist around you. It's not that hard. Okay, so Creamy Love X, you're right on it. I would say that that is a verified rant. Let's make sure I get my ratings. Okay, that is a verified rant. That is an 8. That's an 8. Okay, 8 out of 10. I think that's right on point. So I didn't mention it because I don't want to keep talking about work bathrooms, but somebody, well, I was in a bathroom, we'll just say, and somebody was like watching a show in one of the stalls, like high volume or what, maybe it was TikTok or something, but high volume. I'm like, dude, like, don't do, somebody, you can hear me in here, like, don't do that. That's rude, okay? Watching show, like, so everything this person said is spot on. And yeah, I wonder, now this is just a thought, I'm not sure, I don't know if like after COVID, if like, it broke people's brains, they weren't around people for like a year, or it just kind of set people back. I mean, even, honestly, in some ways, I feel like I kind of socially regressed, and I consider myself, pretty socially adept or whatever, but I even feel like I did, but like, yeah. And I think with technology, people are always on their phones. They're staring at their phones, not like talking to other people. So I think they do forget. And then, the NPCs part of it, I forget what that is. But I think that's like the people that aren't actually in the video game. They're kind of like just the background, if you will. Or they're the people you talk to, but they're not actually, don't have any action. I don't know. I'm not a nerd. But anyway, so I would say that's verified. That's an 8. Yeah, we need to get etiquette back. I've talked about the TikTok trolls. I've talked about all that. We need to get that back. All right, let me take a big sip. All right, let's go into the next rant. So this was on the r/rant, and this was posted 3 days ago. And this was from someone named First One Second. I actually think that that's kind of a cool, inventive name. I appreciate that. And they do have so this one had about 117 likes and 70 comments. So you can see that how their mind works. They seem like they're, they have a different dimension to their mind here. So their rant is this, okay? Let me put it here so I can be more direct. So their rant is, are mermaids supposed to starve? Okay. So many times when some kind of mermaid/merman comes up in fiction, they make a huge fuss about eating fish. I can't eat that. Oh, I can't eat that. It's my own kind. WTF are you talking about? It's a fish. It's not a merperson. This is like a human saying, I don't eat cow. It's my own kind. What makes fish the same as merfolk? The tail? In that case, mice are the same as humans. Let's be honest. Fish would almost certainly be the main protein source in aquatic humanoids' diet. Maybe shellfish play a big part, but there's no way a sentient species living underwater with that kind of muscle mass would survive without animal protein. I don't know. That's a good question, but I don't agree with that last statement because there's vegetarian humans, so how do they don't need that kind of, so whatever. But what would I say the rant? It's an interesting rant. I would say 6, upper mid. I saw The Little Mermaid recently because I have a 4-year-old daughter. I don't recall if that was an issue in that, so I don't really know if there are other things. I'm just going by their word. Actually, maybe I should lower it and just call it a mid-rant because I'm not sure what they're talking about now that I'm actually looking at this. I have no idea what this person. Maybe it's on. But it was, if their premise is true, that in a lot of fictional works that they say they can't eat fish, then it's a good rant. But I agree with the sentiment that, yeah, a fish is not a mermaid or whatever. So now this is all obviously hypothetical, unless you ask my daughter, and then she believes the Little Mermaid is real. So anyway, so we'll go 5 mid. We're going to bring that down a little bit because I don't want to end on that. I don't know if I like that one. I'm regretting it. I showed it to my wife, actually, a few of these, and I was like, should I use it? And she thought that last one was stupid, and I shouldn't, but I didn't listen to her, and now I kind of agree with her. I do like the name of that person, first one, second, though, so I give him credit for that. Okay, let's do another one. Maybe some cursing, so I'm going to have to cut this out, or limit it, or whatever. But this comes from the R Rant thread, and it was posted 2 days ago, and it's from your_highness2. It's not highness, it's highness, or maybe that's how you spell that, I don't know. Now the name of the rant is, again, I'm going to have to bleep some of this, effing tired of late people. Okay, so here's the rant. I joined this subreddit just to effing complain about how much I effing hate late people. In fact, when people are late, it draws out this very sinister part of me. I feel like I might be capable of doing anything. Somebody call 911. Okay, report this person. I once missed a very important movie. Oh, God forbid. A very important movie because a person I was supposed to watch it with was 20 minutes late at this point. What's the effing point of going to the theater? So I left, and it's been years. I've never forgotten it. Oh my God. If you say and agree on one time, then hold up to it. It's not that effing hard. I understand there are inconveniences. Okay. That we can't control. And this is why I sometimes leave early if I know it'll take long road just in case. I don't know what the hell that means. Or I'll take the long road just in case. I hate people who have no sense of effing urgency. Now there's this whole shenanigans about time blindness. I don't know what the effing tell you, but you get maybe I'll skip the F's and just do the words. But you get a clock or wake up and get ready 2 to 4 hours earlier because it's not people's fault that you have time blindness or whatever the F that is. I'm so effing tired of my time not being respected. It's truly one of the one effing thing that will make me never speak to someone again once you're late more than 3 times. I start seeing you differently, and I no longer effing respect you as a person. Thank you for listening to my rant. Okay, interesting. I have a few thoughts here. Okay, so 1, before I give it a rating, 1, I agree. I hate when people are late. I hate when people are habitually late. It is annoying to me. So I agree with that part of the rant. As an example, my father, sorry Dad, he is habitually late. He's always late. For his own wedding to my mother, they had to tell him it was an hour earlier than it actually was so that he would show up. So he's always late. I know other people, I don't want to name drop, who are late a lot, and it does kind of annoy me. I like to be punctual. I don't like to be too early. I don't like to but I like to be on time. Now sometimes I'm on time. I'm usually on time, I'll say. Occasionally I'm late, and you know what? There are things that happen. There's traffic. There's whatever. I don't know. You could think of things. There's reasons you could be late. Maybe you spill coffee on your shirt. You have to go back in. You have to get a new cup of coffee. There's reasons to be late. Okay, so there's that. So okay, so The time blindness thing, I don't know what that is. Is that a new movement or something? Like, I have time blindness, or there's a lot of ridiculous things out there where before you'd say, oh, that's bad, but now it's like, oh, no, I just have time blindness. So I don't know if that's one of those things. And maybe I'm speaking ignorantly. Maybe there is a condition where people have this and I've never heard of it. I'm ignorant about it. I have no idea. So, you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm going to stay away from that one because I don't know. I don't know. But what I will say is this person's the main part of the rant that somebody was 20 minutes late to a movie and so they never talked to the person again. We all know movie previews are like 30 minutes. Like they used to be like 15 minutes. I think now they're like 30 minutes. And the fact that you would have left because the person didn't show up, when you just go into the theater and save a seat like a normal person. Oh, I gotta be like outside waiting for the person. No, just go in and sit down and save a seat. Put your leg up. I don't know. You can just go in. You don't have to miss the movie. You're not talking to the person. You're watching a movie. If you had to go play singles tennis and the person was late, okay, fine. What are you going to hit the ball against the net? No, you need another person. But if you're watching a movie, that's not like a two-person sport. Like, they can just be there when they get there, whatever. So that's kind of, you need to chill on that part. And then the time blindness, again, I don't know what that is, so I'm going to skip over that. But then the part where, like, if you're late 3 times, I'm done with you, I'm never going to talk to you. Well, who are we talking about? You know, sorry, people like, oh, you've all this time to go to a movie. You know, a lot of people have busy lives. Maybe they have children. Maybe they have parents they have to take care of. Maybe they have jobs. Maybe, oh, that report's due. My manager didn't. Oh, I got to go to this site. I got to travel for business. People are busy. They can't always just, like, drop everything and life happens. Okay, so you can't just write people off because they're late, and if they mean that much to you and they're not just some random person, then you should have a conversation and say, hey, look, Joey or Bobby or Susie or whoever, you've been late several times when we were meeting and it really upsets me. So, like, can you please make a conscious effort to be on time, because honestly, it feels like you're not valuing my time, and I have other things I could be doing. So that's kind of how, I mean, this will be a reoccurring theme on the Cry Harder Nation, if you will, is communication. You just need to communicate, okay? If they keep disrespecting your time, then set a boundary and say, look, if you're late again, we're not making plans, but be direct and be upfront and give them that warning so they can react to it. So what do I say? I get the idea of the lateness, so I think that part is legit. But the idea that you can't just go into a movie, I think it's a little weak sauce. I think I'm not going to go to trying too hard. I'm just going to go to low mid. We're going to do low mid. It's kind of right teetering. It's right on the edge of low mid, about to fall into, what is it? Trying too hard. It's about to go down. Okay, it's like the Titanic on the edge of the thing, and it's okay. But it didn't go down the Mariana Trench. I know it's a different part of the world. You get what I'm saying. Okay, what do we have next? Well, I don't want to do that one. Okay. That's it. So we had 3. I'll save the next one. Somebody did a rant about like the Starbucks CEO because he said that, well, let's just do it. The heck with it. Why not? So because it's actually, I saw that headline. I was like, what the hell? So this person, this is called, this is in the R rant folder. This was posted 4 days ago. It was posted by Eastern/Western 7072. And they had this rant, and it got a ton of likes. So 769 likes, 156 comments. So this generated a lot of engagement here, and it's an interesting rant. There's a little cursing in here, so I'll try to cut that out. But here goes the headline: the CEO of Starbucks is out of his effing mind. Okay, again, this is not me saying this. This is the person whose rant I'm reading. So the other day, I was watching an interview with the CEO of Starbucks, and the pure greed that this man tries to justify is mind-boggling. So he proposed a $9 cup of coffee, which he described as being an experience and an indulgence. Like, dude, I don't want an effing vacation. I just want a reasonably priced cup of coffee. Mind you, this guy used to be the CEO of Chipotle, and that interview is just as delusional. He said, oh, maybe you can wink at the employee and they'll give you a little more vegetables, and address the portion issue without saying, or with saying, well, of course you're going to have to pay more for bigger portions. It's just mind-boggling that these CEOs thought it was a good idea to be greedy after COVID and hike prices more than they need to, and are now realizing they shot themselves in the foot. Places like Chipotle and Starbucks are losing customers at an exponential rate, and their stocks are plummeting. My guess is that they thought people would pay for their food no matter what. Well, that's not how things work. For your average consumer, if something is too overpriced, guess what? They'll find a cheaper alternative, such as eating at home. I have a feeling that eventually Starbucks and other greedy franchises will start to close down more stores and eventually fade out in the future due to cheaper competition. In California, we have a coffee chain called Dutch Brothers, and they're cheaper and have more variety than Starbucks. So in the future, cheaper places will become dominant. In my area, for example, there are no more Carl's Jr.'s. They all shut down because they're too expensive. People don't want to pay ridiculous prices anymore. Ran over. They didn't say that. So my thoughts on this. I think it's a very legitimate rant. So I'm going to say it's a legit rant. I think there's more to it though, and I think we have more of a say over it. So like if the prices, I agree with them. In the last, inflation, ever since COVID, has just been outrageous. The inflation, things have skyrocketed. We all know that. You have to make like a ton of money to not live basically paycheck to paycheck. And even a lot of people who do make a lot of money, they don't, they're still living paycheck to paycheck because everything's so much more expensive. So I agree with the sentiment of the rant. But what I would say is, I think this person's right in the sense that, yeah, if their coffee now is $9, you'll still get like your high-end clientele or whatever, or people who don't mind spending $9. But in most of the country, like that's going to be too much, a daily expense. That's like what cigarettes cost $10 a pack, and that people don't smoke anymore. So like, you're still going to drink coffee, but there's, as they said, there's cheaper options. I don't know. I mean, I know it's not as good, but like 7-Eleven has coffee, or as they said, Dutch Brothers, or I know there's now Dunkin' Donuts in part of the country, which I don't think is as expensive. Now you're not getting that, I'm in Europe, this elevated experience, but you're still getting, coffee, and some people want that elevated experience, but you're not going to get as many customers. So I agree that there probably will have to close locations. That would be my thought. So what would I say? So I think I already said this, but I would say it's a legit rant that things are expensive, 7, but I would say as a consumer we do have control over where we go, and I think that the greedy CEOs are going to find out the hard way, as the person said. Now, that said, I know their costs are going up, so they pass it on to the consumer. So I get that too. The one place, I actually had to complain about this, because I've been cutting back. Well, this is a true life case. So I used to get fast food like pretty much every lunch, I would say. So I work in an office, but I'd go out for lunch, or if I worked from home a few days a week, I'd go get lunch. I love like Chick-fil-A as an example, or I don't know, Taco Bell, or whatever, you name it. So, but I used to go to Panera Bread, and I used to go, but like, they would always screw up my order. But even if they didn't, the cost just got to the point where it was like, this literally makes 0 cents, like how much this stuff is. I got like a grilled cheese sandwich and like a cup of soup, and it was like $20. And I'm like, how is it 20? It's a grilled cheese. It's not like a turkey ham club with bacon and all this stuff. No, it's literally chicken noodle soup and a grilled cheese. I was like, it might have been $25. I don't like the soup was like this big. I don't know if you can see, not big at all, and it was like $10. I'm like, there's no way soup should be that much. So I guess this turned into a rant, but I would say 7 for this person's rant. I agree with it. So, all right. So let's do a big cup of coffee sip here. All right, so we're coming up on 45 minutes here, so I'm going to kind of run through week in review and looking forward. So I also just want to repeat, please like, subscribe, comment. If you have any reactions to any of the rants I just read, you think differently, you think I got it wrong, you let me know. Don't be too mean to me, but put it in the comments. I want more comments. I don't get enough. Give me more comments. Okay, so let's look at week in review. So my past week, very little to talk about here. Very boring week, which was a good thing because I've been busy. We did some spring cleaning. The one thing I do want to mention, I went to Costco on Sunday, and I just wanted to say, I don't know about the Costco's near you, but the one I live near, it took me, I want to say 20 minutes to get a parking spot. And I went on a Sunday at like 11 in the morning, and it took me 20 minutes. I had to park way in the back, like had to walk a long way, and I couldn't just find a spot. I had to wait for like an elderly woman who was like packing her car, which is fine. I'm not like honking or doing, she's not eating a hot dog like Mike from Philly, but she was taking her time, which is fine. She was older, I get it. So she backs it. But I had to wait. The point is, there wasn't just an open spot, and it took 20 minutes. So, never, if you can at all ever help it, never go to Costco on a Sunday morning. Don't do it. You can figure out a way to go. Friday night, I don't know. Well, maybe that would be bad too. I don't know. I don't go enough. We can ask my wife. She'll tell you. That's the week in the review. Basically nothing. Okay, looking forward. So I'm recording this on a Thursday. No, it's a Friday. Friday afternoon. This weekend is Mother's Day weekend. So that's what my weekend's going to be about. It's about honoring my wife. So for this weekend, we're going to do a beach picnic. So we're going to get some sandwiches, maybe some Jersey Mike's. Or there's a place in San Diego called Board and Brew, which is pretty good. So we might get those and take them to a beach. Probably not Coronado Beach because there's fecal matter, but maybe a different beach. We like Ocean Beach. I hope that's not affected. So we'll see. And then the other thing we're going to be doing on Mother's Day, we're going to the Padres and Cardinals baseball game. So that should be fun. This was my wife's request. She likes baseball. She's a Giants fan, San Francisco Giants fan, but for some reason she wanted to go to a game. So we got a game, pretty good seats, but like in the shade. So it's kind of like tucked away. But it's Mother's Day, so we kind of splurged a little bit. One tip, which I do want to bring up, is that when you go to a Padres game, if you're ever in San Diego, you want to go to a day game, you need to be very careful. There's good spots where there's shade, and then there's other spots where you're going to bake in the sun. So if you want to get in the shade, this is just for day games. At night it's fine, obviously. But for the day, you really have to sit on like the third base side, okay, if you want shade. If you sit on the first base side, you're going to bake in the sun all day. If the sun's out at San Diego, so it's usually out. So be very mindful. There's websites you can go on. I mean, literally you can just put it into Google Gemini or whatever. Just say, is this seat, literally this row or this seat in the sun, and it'll tell you. But I highly recommend you do that. So do that. But anyway, it should be fun game. So that is the looking forward section. Let's do another sip, and then we'll do the tip of the week. Okay, so for the tip of the week, it could have just been what I just said, but you know what? Let's save this one because I'm running out of time. Let's save it. The tip of the week is that Padres tip. Sit in the shade if you go to a day game. Okay. Next up, let's do movie reviews. So so we all know where we are. I have 2 movie reviews, and then we're going to wrap it up. Okay. So this one, highly anticipated. The first movie review is a movie called Regretting You by, well, I don't think the movie's by her, but I think she wrote a book. Margaret Hoover. So I believe this is the woman who wrote the same book for It Ends With Us, which was that whole, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, that whole controversy, which we don't need to get into in this segment here. But I think she wrote a series of books, is my guess, like romantic, or I don't know what you would call them, not thrillers, but like a romance type novels. I don't know. Romance drama novels is my guess. I should have looked that up. But anyway, so this movie I saw was Regretting You by Margaret Hoover. I think it came out in 2025. I saw it on Amazon Prime. So within the movie, it had the actors or actresses, whatever. It was Brian Williams' daughter, who I didn't write her name down. But I do like her. She was in Girls, which I liked. That was on HBO. That was kind of a funny show, and I liked her character in that. I always did like her dad, too. I was always a big Brian Williams fan. He was obviously the longtime anchor on NBC News back when I watched nightly news. And I think they kicked him out because he lied about being on a plane or something, or getting shot at. But in the news business, you can't really lie, or he fabricated it. Now that's allegedly. I don't know. I don't know the details. I always liked him, so that always kind of made me upset when he left. Also in the movie was James Franco's younger brother, I believe it is, and I don't know his name, but I know he's been in a few things. I've seen him in other things, and then one thing, I don't want to get into the details really at all, other than to say I didn't realize that basically James Franco, his older brother, has been like canceled or is no longer in anything, and then like his friend Seth Rogen basically stopped being friends with him, and there's like allegations of him being with underage, or I don't really know. I don't want to talk about it, but I only bring it up to say his brother was in the movie, and I didn't know that this happened. I don't know where I was, but apparently there's some kind of controversy, which I don't know much about, so you don't need to look into it. Just wanted to bring it up. Okay, back to the movie. Bringing it back to the movie. So I took a bunch of notes, but I'll just kind of give you like the high-level concept, and there could be spoilers. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to start talking, and I may spoil stuff. I don't know. But so the concept of the movie is there's like 4 people, right? So there's I think it's 2 sisters, and then 2 different guys, basically, like an older one and a younger one. And essentially they're all like kind of dating when they're younger. So the 2 sisters are dating these 2 guys. So then I guess the older guy kind of goes away. No, wait. I guess you would call them I don't know. Now I'm confusing it. Basically, there's 2 couples. There's these sisters, and they're both dating guys. So the younger sister dating this guy, who is Franco's brother, and he goes away for a while, and then he comes back into the picture, and he is there, right? And he kind of tries to reconnect, and I think he has a daughter. Now I'm confusing it because I saw it last week. But he has a daughter. This is terrible. Scratch this whole thing. No, but I think he has a daughter with the younger one. I don't know. And he comes back, and within like very early in the movie, basically, the older sister's husband and then the younger sister are in a car accident and die, basically. And so just the two of them. But the idea is like, well, why were they in the car together? You know, like they were cheating, basically. So they were cheating together. So that the younger sister and the older sister's husband were cheating. If I made that clear. So then it kind of the daughter doesn't know that, you know, she obviously. Sorry, the daughter was of the. This is going to be too confusing. Forget the premise of the movie. The hell with it. Basically, the daughter didn't know that the dad was cheating and all this. This is a horrible review, and I apologize in advance. This is terrible. I'm going to read you my notes because that's what's more important. So what I said is the parents and the daughter are too close in age. It's not believable. So yeah, the daughter and then the Williams, whatever the oldest sister, they're too close. Her daughter and her are too close. And I said Brian Williams' daughter in the movie needs to chill out and relax. Then I said the young people are okay actors, but the old people are terrible at acting. The script is not good. Was better as a book, I'm sure. Movie was slow. At end, he's always knocking up for her. She finally knocks up for him. Williams. There was a promposal. So those are my notes. Okay. So as the movie develops, it's kind of ends up being, those two people died, and there's kind of the relationship between James Franco's little brother and Brian Williams' daughter, and, you know, their relationship kind of progresses. Like they maybe had a crush when they were younger on each other, even though they were dating other people. And then the woman's daughter starts dating a guy, and that kind of is part of this. And so when I say the younger people are better actors, that's like the girl, the daughter in this movie, and then the guy she's dating. Okay, that was a really terrible review. Now, I'm not done. So I want to give you my wife's thoughts. She gave me her thoughts. So my wife said, my wife thinks she liked it. Cute, sweet story. Casting was off. Casting was flat. Characters were never in it. When characters felt cheating on it was forced, not true betrayal. The love between old people didn't seem like they were in love. She wishes we had more scenes with the dead people. She wanted to feel more connection, but there was no connection. It was like The Notebook for her, the movie The Notebook. Connected to the story, but not the emotions. Better as a book, not as a movie. So overall, I would say, you know, should you see it? Yeah, I mean, it was intriguing and whatever. But was it like a great movie? Was the acting great? No. I think that the book I'm sure was much better than the movie. So can you see it? Sure, but whatever. Now I would just want to put that was a horrible review. I need to like rewatch these before I do this. Okay, let's move on. There's another movie I saw. So this one is called A Country Romance. So this was an Amazon Prime movie that came out in 2022, and it had Jonathan Bennett and Alex Angelis or something. But Alex plays Sarah. She was also in a movie that I rated or I reviewed. I don't know which episode it was. It might have been 11 or 10 or 7. I don't know what it was. But it was Love's Last Resort, and it was the one with like the guy was obsessed with like the sitcom and whatever. So this girl was in that. Now I actually liked that movie. This one, not really. So it's basically about a woman, a very busy like marketing executive woman whose family owns like a vineyard, and basically she goes, her dad just retired or something, he's out of town, and they're trying to sell the family vineyard. And so some lawyer or something's coming with paperwork to sign, so he can't make it. Like his flight gets delayed. I forget why. So she offers to go back and to sign the paperwork. So she gets there, and but as the kind of movie progresses, it turns out the lawyer, whoever wants to buy the vineyard, wants to turn it into like a shopping mall. And she's like, no, like this is beautiful land. I grew up here. And then she meets the neighbor, like the neighbor's son is like this good looking guy. And she starts to kind of fall for him. And then she could have maybe still signed the papers, but you find out pretty quickly that the grapes, it rained so much that the grapes are actually ripe and need to be picked like immediately. So, and the guy that she likes, this new guy, his family farm next door had something happened, they had a fire or something, they had a bad crop. So they basically offer to help her pick her grapes, and then they'll do like a profit share where she's going to get some of the or they're going to get some of the profit. So they agree. So they kind of help her, and it's kind of that love story between the two people. What I would say is I didn't have much to say. I said the script is too direct, it's too proper. It just didn't sound natural. It needed to be a little more edgy. It was just too pretty, prim. Oh, thank you, ma'am. Da, 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 da. And it's like, and also it's like, oh, the country. It's more of like a winery. It's like, let's come up with a better name, maybe. So what I would say, I actually, sometimes some of these movies, when I'm watching them, like these Hallmark, usually I like them or there's some level of interest. But in this case, I was like, when is this over? And and I was like counting to when it would be over. So I really don't. You can say it. I don't recommend it at all. But that was called A Country Romance. If you want to see something, see Love's Last Resort. That was much better. Okay, so we've made it to the end here. We just hit an hour. So here we go. So we'll do our outro here. But before I do, a few show notes. I just want to say next week we're going to try to get effort, as I often say, Mike from Philly, and I'm hoping we can do a Rants special show. So that's like a show where we focus primarily on the rants, and maybe there'll be a little bit of extra stuff, but mostly just really good rants for like an hour. So I'm going to try to get him. We're both very busy, so if we get him, we're going to be really lucky, but let's see if we can get him. So that's kind of it. That was my only show note, just that's what we're going to try to do. So, well, my other show note would be like, comment, subscribe, smash the subscribe button, tap it, do whatever you want. I want to come on, let's get them up. Let's get our numbers up. Please comment. I'd love to, I'll respond to you. You give me your thoughts. I'll add it into the next pod, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you all for watching. If you're still here and you have a pulse, thank you for watching. And we're going to do the outro here. So you ready? Okay. If your life wasn't a total disaster this week, don't worry. There's always next Saturday. I'm Chris Black, and you've been listening to the Cry Harder podcast.